Christmas had always been a family affair. I loved the traditions, the warmth, the laughter, and even the chaos that came with my in-laws. For years I had looked forward to it, thinking of the stories, the jokes, and the comfort of being surrounded by family. But this Christmas felt different from the moment I stepped through the door. I had sensed tension weeks before. My wife had been distant, distracted, and unusually secretive. Little things, like brushing off questions about her holiday plans or staying late at work, didn't seem like much at first. But there was a quiet unease I couldn't shake. The first sign should have been a warning. Her family greeted me politely, with smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes. They ushered me in, handed me a drink, and began chatting about work, hobbies, and life updates. But I noticed the subtle glances, the whispers, the way they avoided looking directly at me when certain topics came up. And then I saw her, the one sitting across from me, laughing too loudly, adjusting her hair in a way that was disturbingly familiar. My heart sank instantly. My wife's family had brought someone new to Christmas dinner, someone they clearly wanted me to notice. "She's wonderful," my wife said brightly, holding out a hand as if I should welcome her with open arms. "I thought you'd like to meet her." I forced a smile, nodding politely. "How nice," I said, my voice flat, my tone carefully measured. Inside, everything churned. Years of love, trust, and shared holidays. The decorations we had put up, the memories of past dinners, the laughter we had shared, felt suddenly meaningless. I realized painfully that for them, for her, I was already obsolete, already replaced. The evening continued. I tried to focus on conversation, on maintaining composure for my own dignity, for the sake of appearances. I asked questions, complimented dishes, engaged politely with friends and family. But every laugh she shared with her replacement, every subtle touch, every inside joke I wasn't a part of, felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I caught my wife's eye once, trying to gauge if she felt even a fraction of shame. But her smile was calm, proud, unrepentant. She was thrilled to introduce me to this new person, as if it were a performance to assert how little I mattered. At one point, I excused myself quietly to the kitchen, pretending to check on a dish. I needed a moment alone, away from the whispers, the smirks, and the subtle glares. The silence of the kitchen felt like a refuge, a space where I could breathe without the crushing weight of betrayal. And then, it hit me. The realization that had been forming for months, the subtle distance, the secretive behavior, the excuses, was complete. This wasn't about me anymore. She had already moved on emotionally, physically, and socially. The life we had built together, the holidays we had cherished, the promises we had made, they were all meaningless to her now. I returned to the table quietly, without announcing my emotions, without making a scene. I sat down, smiled politely at everyone, and let the dinner continue. Her replacement was oblivious, her family was smug, and my wife was glowing with satisfaction. But I had made a choice. I wasn't going to beg for attention, argue, or plead for relevance. I would sit there, calm, dignified, and unshaken, even if inside I was reeling. After dinner, as people began clearing plates and chatting in small groups, I stood up. I took a deep breath, looked around the room, and quietly said, "I'm going to step out for a bit." No one protested. No one asked why. I walked out into the crisp night air, feeling the cold sting of reality, but also an unexpected sense of relief. For months after that Christmas, I rebuilt my life piece by piece. I focused on work, on friends who truly valued me, and on the children who depended on me. I moved to a new apartment, filled it with comfort, and created a sense of home that didn't rely on her presence or approval. I never confronted her about the dinner. I didn't call her family to argue. I didn't post my feelings on social media. I simply removed myself from the situation, quietly reclaiming my dignity and my life. And in doing so, I realized that betrayal, humiliation, and loss can be survived, and even transformed into strength, Months later, I heard from a mutual friend that she and the woman she had introduced at that Christmas dinner were now official. She had moved on, and everyone around her seemed to admire her for it. But it didn't matter. I wasn't the broken, humiliated person she had expected me to be. I had walked away calmly, silently, and that had been more powerful than any argument, confrontation, or display of anger could ever be. Betrayal can be loud, humiliating, and crushing, but sometimes the strongest response is quiet dignity. Sometimes it's choosing to leave, choosing yourself, and refusing to participate in someone else's performance at your expense. That Christmas, her family thought they were proving a point, that I had been replaced, that I was irrelevant. They didn't realize that by leaving quietly, with my composure intact, I had already won. I had already reclaimed my life, my happiness, and my peace of mind. And years from now, when I think back to that night, I won't remember the laughter, the smug looks, or the sense of humiliation. I'll remember the calm, the strength, and the freedom I found by simply standing up, metaphorically and literally, and walking away.